Hello, how are you? My name is Dr. Ivan Khan, and I'm the CEO of Khan Tutorial. Today, we'll be talking about the New York City specialized high schools and what it takes to get into schools like Stuyvesant High School, Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, or many of the new specialized high schools of New York City. As you all know, the specialized high schools of New York City are some of the most renowned free public high schools and some of the top high schools in the world. And today we'll be talking about how you can increase your chances of doing well in our program to get into a specialized high school spot. So if you're watching this video, chances are you're either in Khan Tutorial's program as a beginning seventh grader, or you're a seventh grader that got the video from a friend, or you're thinking about preparing for the specialized high schools. With over 4,000 students who we helped get in the past 27 plus years, we have a lot of familiarity with the process, and today we're going to show you how to take full advantage of your time with us on your way to a specialized high school seat. So firstly, we'll talk about our department leaders and the days of the week that you can email us or call us and look up your child's score, and if you have questions like that. Then we'll talk a little bit more about the specialized high schools themselves and about the actual entrance exam. Right now, there's only one test you need to take to get into the specialized high schools. That hasn't changed. So at the end of this workshop, you'll know exactly what it'll take to do well on the exam to increase your chances of getting into a school. Next up, we'll talk about the grade camp tutorial, where parents and students can use this to not only submit your weekly scores, your classworks, your homeworks, and your diagnostics. So parents have the opportunity at Khan to look up your child's scores at any given moment, as long as you want to log in through your child's grade camp account. Next, SHSAT family responsibilities. As many of you know, if you're an immigrant New Yorker like myself, I grew up with lots of neighbors, some cousins, and on the weekends, we'd like to get together for things like dawats and invitations and outings to families' houses. And those types of sacrifices are things that we'll be discussing this upcoming year, because with a big exam like the SHSAT, it's always good to find the right work and life balance. And finally, what tips do we have for you students at home? A lot of you have already gotten started. A lot of you already got started during our pre-SHSAT program. So congratulations to everyone that completed the pre-SHSAT program from the summer. First up, as a Khan Tutorial parent, we'd like for you to check your email every single day. If you ever have questions about your child's progress, you can always email ryan.nafi@khantutorial.com or ishak.chaudhary@khantutorial.com on the bottom left of the screen. When can you contact us by email or by phone? Well, our SHSAT department hours are Wednesdays and Fridays, 5 to 7. It's a great time where our leaders are in our office hours and we can call you back. On Saturdays and Sundays between 11 and 3. Those are times when all of our department leaders are in, and the SHSAT department can help you with any questions about your child specifically. However, what if you have questions about the company or other services, or you have another child who's a brother or sister? Our mainline hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, as well as 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays as well. This is the place where you'd call for either referrals to families, questions on your on the date of your package length, accessing your classes if you ever need any help with the links, and finally, if you ever need to finish classes after the course is done, you can always call the mainline number on the right, 718-938-9451. So let's get talking about the SHSAT. What is the SHSAT and why attend the specialized high schools? Like we said before, the SHSAT is the only thing you'll need to take to get into Stuyvesant High School or Brooklyn Tech or Bronx Science or any of the new specialized high schools. The SHSAT is the only exam you'll need to take, and attending one of these schools has a lot of advantages. First of all, it's a free quality education at no cost. Next up, you develop lifelong connections and opportunities. And finally, you can open the doors to some of the most amazing competitive colleges, not only in the United States or around the world. So now, right now, there are about 8 specialized high schools. starting from the top highest cutoffs, Stuyvesant High School and Bronx Science usually have the highest cutoffs when you take the SHSAT, and we'll explain what the cutoff scores are. Next up, you have Brooklyn Tech, which is one of the largest magnet high schools in the country. We'll talk a little bit more about Brooklyn Tech in depth. So these three are the original specialized high schools. After that, you have 5 new specialized high schools that were created in each of the 5 boroughs of New York City, located on a CUNY campus. So at York College in Jamaica, Queens, you have the Queens High School of Sciences, which is a top destination for a lot of our residents and con students from Queens, especially from Jamaica, Briarwood, Hollis, nearby Queens Village areas. Next up, we have the High School for Math, Sciences, and Engineering at City College of New York. That's in Upper Manhattan. You take the 1-9 train. You take the one train all the way to 139th Street, the 1 train to 139th Street. And that is where you'll find the High School for Math, Science, and Engineering, City College. Next up, you have Brooklyn Latin High School, amazing high school for humanities, liberal arts, economics, the law, pre-law, and Brooklyn Latin is absolutely one of the places that every single student at cons should be ranking Brooklyn Latin. And of course, we have in the Bronx, American Studies at Lehman College and Staten Island Tech. In Staten Island, both top options. So why take the SHSAT? We spoke about it earlier. It's quality education at no cost. They're some of the world's greatest teachers teach at these schools. You make lifelong connections. You have a lot of advanced placement classes that are college level, AP classes, and that saves you a lot of money. If you're able to take an AP class in high school and you pass and you do well, you won't have to take that same course in many colleges and you can save up to $10,000 just by getting that credit as a high school student. And finally, as we said before, attending one of these high schools gives you a really big advantage during college admissions to get into top college and university. So we'll talk a little bit about Stuyvesant High School, where Constatorial has already sent hundreds and hundreds of students. While Stuyvesant is recognized for its STEM, so STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, the school also has amazing humanities programs for pre-law, economics, English, history, so many other amazing political science majors that you can, or concentrations that you can focus on while attending Stuyvesant High School. And in addition to that, you have unique new classes such as software development, zoology, organic chemistry, which is a major, which is a class that a lot of students take in college, engineering, genetics, science fiction, and so much more. You ask any graduate of Stuyvesant High School, no matter what college they've gone to later, what was one of the greatest academic experiences of your life, they'll tell you it was their time at Stuyvesant High School, located in Lower Manhattan, easy to get to from anywhere in New York City. It's the toughest school to get into through the SHSAT. Next up, Bronx Science. I have a lot of great memories from Bronx Science since I'm a graduate of Bronx Science myself. So when I was a 7th grader, my parents put me into the prep program like this to make sure I got into a top school like Stuyvesant or Bronx Science. And my father said, hey, if Ivan were to miss a question by even one or, get a few questions wrong, that could mean the difference between getting an offer and not getting an offer. And thank gosh, he enrolled me and things worked out. I got into Bronx Science and I made some of the greatest friendships there. It helped me get into medical school. And lo and behold, Bronx Science has 8 Nobel Prize winners. When I went to Bronx Science, being a Queens resident, I was able to take a bus service all the way to Bronx Science. If you're living in the Bronx, in Parkchester, Castle Hill, there's only a 30 or 40-minute bus ride straight to Bronx Science, and a long tradition of academic success and an amazing high school experience for those that attend the Bronx High School of Science, and it's oftentimes ranked number 1 or 2 in the entire state for top high schools. Next up, Brooklyn Tech High School. Brooklyn Tech is one of the nation's largest magnet schools. It not only boasts so many amazing STEM fields within science, technology, and engineering and math, but they also have something unique called majors. And similar to college exposure, students that attend Brooklyn Tech, families that attend Brooklyn Tech can have their child enrolled into a major and focus on few special classes within a certain field and see whether this is going to be a good fit for them later on in college. And oftentimes, students at Brooklyn Tech use this experience to take a lot of AP classes, college classes, and get credits early, save a lot of money, and maybe even graduate college 1 year early. So those that want to that reside in Brooklyn, we absolutely suggest Brooklyn Tech as one of the top options for you. Every single student at Cons needs to rank Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, and Brooklyn Latin. Those four are mandatory for all students at Cons to rank. So the new specialized high schools, as we've said before, we have Brooklyn Latin. At City College, we have a high school for science, math, science, and engineering. We have American Studies at Lehman College, and Queens High School for science at York College. So even if you're really into science, does that mean you're going to have a bad time at Brooklyn Latin? No. Even if you're into humanities, there's still plenty of courses for you at York Science and vice versa. So for these schools, it's a combination of where you live and what type of education you'd love to get within a magnet environment. All right, so how is the SHSAT formatted for all of our 7th graders that have enrolled with us and have already started this past summer? You've already taken some diagnostics, and you know we have 57 ELA questions and 57 math questions. It's a 3-hour exam, so it's one of the longest exams you'll ever have to take so far in your life, and it is going to be challenging. Oftentimes, these are questions that, depending on which school you go to, your class may not have covered it yet. A lot of my students in certain parts of Queens and Brooklyn, especially in the gifted and talented schools, they've had access to advanced algebra, and they've seen a lot of the math and reading topics that show up. And for any other students who haven't been into a gifted programs, you may not have had exposure to this advanced level math and reading, and that's where we've been able to help over 4,000 families in the past 27 plus years. So the ELA section consists of revising, editing, and reading comprehension. There's going to be 9 to 11 revising, editing questions, similar to grammar. And there's going to be about 46 to 48 reading comprehension sections where there'll be big passages. You'll have to read them, take a lot of good notes on the passages, and then you're going to be able to answer 6 or 10 questions for the 6 passages you'll read. And at Cons, we've been teaching our students how to respond and answer these tough questions no matter what the section in the ELA section. Next up, the math section. The math section has word problems, computational questions, and multiple choice or grid format. There's many, many different types of questions within the math section. There'll be 52 multiple choice questions and 5 grid and math sections, very similar to the SAT. So a lot of you youngsters who have older siblings, you'll have heard about them taking the SATs. This is very similar to that. Finally, you have the math questions with the grade 9 tests. Forms are based on material through grade 8. Even if you're in grade 8, you can still retake the exam, and for a very, very limited number of seats. So for those test takers, the math section will have a little bit more advanced topics for you all. But for all of you 7th graders who are preparing in the 7th grade and taking the exam in the fall, October, November, December of your 8th grade, all of our 4-hour classes every week will cover every single math topic you need to know, and we'll tell you a little bit more about how else you can help yourself. So how is the SHSAT scored? The ELA and math sections are scored separately, and each question that you get correct gives you a point. So depending on the number of kids that take the exam, oftentimes 28,000 students will take the exam to all the parents, and only 2,500 to 3,500 students will get seats. So oftentimes it's less than 10%. It is very, very competitive, and it's really, really important that you're able to practice regularly to ensure you get a passing score. So your child's program at Cons, we have small weekend group classes. If you're attending a New York City public high school, chances are you have about 30, 32 kids in every single classroom. At cons, we have half of that. Most of our classrooms have anywhere from 14 to 16 kids. And our Friday workshops are more for advanced material from 4:30 to 7 o'clock. So if you're really, really into getting a spot at Stuyvesant High School or Bronx Science, the Friday workshops have helped a lot of our most advanced top scorers. Similarly, if you're the type of kid like me, or like I was, or I have children myself, my kids love to play on their Nintendo Switch, play on their iPad, and watch, YouTube. And we try to limit that. You have to limit your screen time for your video games and stuff so you can dedicate your time to practice. And in the summer, we have weekday classes called boot camps. And a lot of students have taken that to bring their levels up and enjoy very, very great improvements in all their scores. Next up, we have diagnostics every single 6 to 8 weeks. Every single 6 to 8 weeks, we have diagnostics. And every single week, we have original classwork and homework. So to all parents that are currently enrolled at Conservatorial, please know that it is a requirement to keep your cameras on for your child. Students who leave their cameras on are able to focus more, engage in the classroom discussion, and answer questions even after other students are answering. And we've seen have a much higher performance on assignments and diagnostic exams. So please remember, to all parents and students, keeping your cameras on is a requirement for our classes for students at Conservatorial. So our curriculum is all original content. You won't be able to find this anywhere else. We have a curriculum director with several curriculum leaders that build our curriculum. So you won't be able to find the Conservatorial content anywhere else outside of cons. Our class times, as many of you know already, are Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Saturday afternoons, 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Sunday mornings, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And Sunday afternoons, 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So even if you have religion classes in the morning, you're able to join in for the 12 o'clock class, or even if you have karate in the morning, you're able to join the 12 o'clock group. On Fridays, we absolutely encourage all students to enroll into workshop, where you'll have an opportunity to, again, receive the most advanced material that's out there. The weekend group class, during the weekend group classes, every single week, your child will have to complete a classwork packet. And that contains questions from all 3 sections of the exam: revising, editing, reading comp, and math. They're meant to challenge your child and challenge you. So taking your classwork seriously and improving every single week is a critical factor. Every weekend, students also receive homework that forces them to review concepts and materials from class. And we also have lessons that go over strategies and material, and the material, just so you know all of our cons popular strategies for the big exam that you're going to take. Next up, Friday workshop classes. They're taken by those who are really, really looking to have an advanced score, and that they happen on Friday evenings well after school. So, and in the summer, Fridays workshops start in January. So please take advantage of the free month. There's oftentimes a free month of workshops that start in December. Take that, see how it goes. And if you're enjoying it, join us for the rest of the workshop year. All right, next up, the daily practice schedule. As a 7th grader, you're used to going to school already from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Once you come back home, we'd like for you to relax, eat a snack, maybe even watch 30 minutes of TV, take a shower if that's the time of day where you take your shower. And then we always want students to start our cons homework on Monday. The cons homework and the SHSAT homework and the practice work, they're going to be more challenging. And the homework that you're doing right now at school, you're always able to do that right after the cons homework. So the order is to do the cons homework first for your specialized high school. Then you have to complete your school homework every week right after. Next up, by 8 o'clock, hopefully you're ready to have dinner with your family and relax with them, and then you can go to bed by 10. I know as kids, oftentimes you like to go to sleep after 10, 11, midnight sometimes. But during this year with the specialized high schools, it's really, really important that you're able to go to sleep early and get plenty of rest. Because remember, when we're sleeping, all that learning that we're doing during the week settles in and develops into long-term memory. And that's why sleep is so important in the learning process. Parents and students, remember, every single 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to have a full-length diagnostic exam, and you'll see what the actual SHSAT is like. And every single diagnostic gets more and more difficult. So you're going to have to make sure to start early, learn the material early, and every week and month, the material gets more and more difficult based on the previous month's material. So these were the diagnostic dates last year. Take a quick look. The dates might change depending on the calendar, but generally middle of November, end of December, mid-February, early April, end of May, end of July, early September, and end of October. Keep in mind, oftentimes at workshops, we repeat diags. So on workshops, for those students that enroll into workshops, you'll have access to old diagnostics as well. So what do the diagnostic scores mean at cons? Sometimes many of you have enrolled with us after taking a free diagnostic exam. And after taking that, you may have been starting at the 50s or 60s. At that point, you'll know that if you're starting at a 50, you'll know that every single diag, you're going to have to go up 10 points. So even if it's a 50 and you're starting in October, by the next exam, it should be a 60. 6 weeks later, that should be a 70. And then when you're in the 70s, maybe it'll go up to 80, 82. Then it goes up to 85, 88, as you're getting into the upper more competitive groups. At cons, we have Group A, Group B. All of our students are placed into the sections based on their diagnostic score. So please treat every diagnostic with the same importance that you treat the actual SHSAT. So what do our diags mean? In the past, in our 27 years, we've seen that those students that have at least 3 scores of 88 have a 75% chance of getting into specialized high school. Those students that have at least 3 scores above an 83 have an 80% chance of getting into specialized high school. And those students that are at least 3 diagnostic scores above 78 have an 80% chance of either getting to Brooklyn Tech or Brooklyn Len. So as you see, 78, 83, 88, no matter where you are, you have to put the time and practice in to get your scores up to there. When I had gotten started in my prep program, my scores were stuck in the mid-60s for a long time. And as I worked, my final few diags, I had 84s and 86s, and that got me more and more into the territory for Bronx Science, where I ended up getting into. So every single month at cons, you and your child will enjoy group parent-teacher conferences that are mandatory. Please keep in mind, it is mandatory that parents check your email every single day. It's also mandatory that parents join our group parent-teacher conference. Our group parent-teacher conferences happen before every single diagnostic. And oftentimes, even after the diagnostic, there is an individual and a group parent-teacher conference. It is important and mandatory for you to attend every single one of them to ensure that your child is improving every single diagnostic and that you are part of that process, helping them along every step of the way. Individual parent-teacher conferences are held the week after the diagnostic. This is appointment-based. It's all for free. You'll get an online link through Calendly, and you'll have to select the time that you'll get to speak to your child's teacher personally about your child's performance. So we have that as an option as well for all students and families at Consultorial. So moving on to the software that we use to help run our program at Consultorial's SHSAT, it's GradeCam. It's a system where not only we can track scores, but here you can also. You can track your child's classwork, homework, diagnostic scores here. You can click Login on the top right, and then click Students. Then you can enter your child's first name and last name and login code that you'll already have by enrolling with us. And then from there, you'll be able to save the login code and password on your computer or your mobile device. And from there, you'll be able to view assignments and scores. You can look at turned in, the homework assignments that your child's been turning in, and see what their scores were. So for all students and parents in our program right now, please do take the time to join your parents at the computer, log in to GradeCam and see how your child's doing. All right. So student responsibilities in our program. For all of you students, 7th graders in our program right now, please make sure to arrive to class 10 to 15 minutes early. Attend class consistently. Be sure to participate and be engaged in class. Raise your hand either physically with the cameras on or use the raise hand function on our platform. Use the chats to engage the teacher and answer the questions. Submit the homework before class starts. Submit classwork before class ends. And of course, take notes for all your lessons and review, and be respectful to your peers. Parent responsibilities. Please make sure that your child is attending class every week. Please make sure that you're opening any and every email that you get from Constatorial. Your emails will be about letters from the department leaders you'll get twice a month. It'll talk to you about where we are in the program. It'll talk to you about when the next diagnostic is. It can give you a hint as to when to avoid any weekend travel in case it's an important weekend for either a diagnostic or a conference. Also, please keep in mind that families that miss a class ever, you have access to our recordings for up to 10 days. Even if you miss class, you have access up to 10 days to view your class. So next up, we have the Constatorial book list. The book list consists of 8 books that are intended to be supplements. We recommend that students start with our first 4 books before moving on to the next 4. And students should aim to complete each book at least 2 or 3 times. So I've had a lot of students, and I've asked them, hey, did you finish that book? They're like, oh, Dr. Khan, I finished. And I'll ask them, hey, how many times did you finish? And they'll nervously say 1 time. But if that child's only finished a book once, and we were going to test that child on that book, would they be able to get a 90 or 95 as needed to get into one of the high schools? You know, that's why we probably not. That's why we'd always advise repeating the material and completing the book at least twice. So these are the book lists that you can see. You have Kaplan, McGraw-Hill, Barron's, the Tutorverse. All 4 should be available on Amazon.com. Once again, it's the early Kaplan book, which is really easy. We finished that we finished that level of material early on in the program, right around Diagnostic A. And then Cons, all of our material is much more difficult than any of these books. However, these books provide excellent practice at home when you're done with our classwork and homeworks at home. Additionally, later on, you'll have Argo, Ivy Prep, practice math tests from Namistai books, and Solomon Academy. Once again, Argo Brothers, Ivy Prep, Namistai books, and Solomon Academy. So let's see, to all our current students, how many of these did you order already? We should be ordering at least 2 books a month and getting started on them and trying to complete each book at least once. So if you haven't purchased any of these books, please go ahead and purchase McGraw-Hill and Barron's. Hopefully you've completed Kaplan level practice questions. And you have to learn how to practice often. So there is a refund policy for those who want to discontinue. Please take a close look. And this should be, a copy of this presentation is also present in your welcome email. Tips for success from our SHSAT managers. So a little bit every day. Make some time to practice SHSAT every single day. Follow the daily practice schedule that we showed you. Review your notes and the lessons, classwork and homework, and do SHSAT practice before you start your school homework. Progress happens over time. Make sure to get all of the books and complete them thoroughly. Make sure to attend all the workshops that start every January. And if you're a distracted kid and you like your video games and you like your iPad time, but you need some focus, consider joining us for the summer classes to help keep you up to speed and not miss anything. Next up, the bootcamp classes take place in the summer. And to parents, again, you have to check your email from cons every single day. You'll get at least 1 or 2 emails, at least 3 or 4 emails a month, 2 emails from the department themselves, and maybe any other announcements that may come up. Please always check your cons, the email that you've submitted to cons for your child's progress. And next up, let's also be sure to all the parents to decrease the number of dawats and invitations. In the community I'm from, getting together with your family is a big part of our weekly traditions. And during a year where you have a big exam, these types of things have to become a little bit more limited. We're not saying to stop them completely, but you do have to decrease the amount of socializing so everyone in the home is focused on doing as best as possible to help that child succeed and not have to worry about it after that. And always stay positive. This is not an easy journey. You got to remember that as parents, there will be a lot of other students that you're competing against, but we can't compare our kids to other children. It's really about comparing our children to what they were doing last month. So every single month, you have to improve a little bit at a time. So just keep in mind that success is the sum of small efforts repeated. So today may be the first time you're seeing this presentation, this workshop, but please know that we will be having discussions like this every single week in class for our students, every single month during our parent conferences with parents. And to all of our current students, congratulations for getting started and having such a great showing during the pre-SHSAT program. Congratulations on getting through 2 months by now of the material. We started in September and it's already the middle of October. And to all of our new families that may be joining us, thank you for checking out our program at cons and seeing how we tackle it. We've had about 4,000 students who've gotten in. We have about a few hundred 8th graders who will be taking the exam this December. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, be sure to pay it forward and we'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, everyone.